Hello everyone, we are from Group 3 and we would like to present about our discussion from Chapter 4 entitled Function and Fields of Work School Management. So here are the members of Group 3, which are Aurelia Oktavia P, Diani Bethesda, and also Mary Christiana. The first one, we are going to explain about the goals in learning this chapter. Number 1, students understand the general management function, which are planning, organizing, actuating, and controlling. Number 2, students understand the basic cycle of school management as the main function of school management, which are A, planning, B, implementation, C, evaluation, and D, follow-up carry-on. Number 3, students understand the field of school management in accordance with the dynamics of applicable laws and regulations, which covers A, 8 education standards from the National Agency Education Standard or BNSP, and B, minimum service standards for schools in 3T area. Number 4, students understand the 4 metaphors of Bowman and Deal, 2017, as a comprehensive frame of mind in interpret the function and roles of school management. Number 5, students can analyze and build relationship between substance of management roles and function with video testimonial students' parents. Here, we would like to explain about the introduction. School as an educational institution is an invention in modern human civilization. Various studies, historiography, shows that educational mechanism that formally institutionalized in the form of schools in the middle, the 1850s. School system characterized by age grouping in different classes or grade. Currently, the education system in the form of schools is considered not to be again relevant. Sir Ken Robinson gave a strong critique. The mechanism of schooling as a product of the 19th century is no longer relevant. The educational system is considered not to support creative and critical of students. Now let's jump to the basic function of school management. The management keyword is managing an activity. In practice at school, there are various kinds of activities that implemented at school. Within the framework of school accreditation, the concept institutional management is simplified into 4 steps. These 4 steps form the management cycle and include planning, implementation, evaluation, and also follow-up activities. The cycle is general in nature and can be applied in various affairs of business, including in the field of school management. The key word in school management is accountability. This term refers to the basic spirit to live transparency in the management of the institution. Accountability components include 1. Transparency in the form of willingness to open up to A. Planned, B. What is run, C. Resulting from school management. And number 2, readiness to accept criticism, input, and recommendation of the sake of future improvements.
Okay guys, I will tell you about the material in C and D. This is material in C, and the title is The Base Cycle of Education Control. For the first, we have planning. All staff in the school must arrange planned activity and budget from school in Bahasa Indonesia, Rencana Kegiatan dan Anggaran Sekolah atau RKAS. The basis of RKAS are, for the first is evaluate, the second is identified needs, and the last is the strategy plan. Number 2, implementation. All of staff in the school have to join or participation in commit and must have the responsibility to do it. The main things of implementations are, for the first, activity planning details. The second is implementation of activities that meet the aspects of accountability. And the last is final report. Number 3, evaluate. Evaluate is the one of record step for complete the process. So, trace of evaluate. For the first, formative. And we will do it directly. And also we have monitoring and evaluation in formative. And the second is summative. Summative, we will do it after the activity. And in the evaluation, has an explanation about the purpose, process, and the results that we get, and then the report about financial statements or budget. The report on the use of finance must be accompanied and by authoritative evidence such as receipt for financial transaction data. Evaluation of an activity is usually carried out in a formal meeting, which is attended by the entire committee, with the aim of being accountable for the implementation of activities to the principal. And for is follow-up. The main question for follow-up are, for the first, what are the good things that have resulted from the implementation of this commit or activity? The second is, what things are considered less than optimal in the implementation? The last is, what are the priority things to follow up based on the learning experiences from this activity? In follow-up, these three evaluative reflection questions are a tradition of Ignatian pedagogy. The key word in Ignatian pedagogy is an attempt to build meaning. Okay, and in this part we have to material in D. The title is Arable Field to Manage to Education According BMSP Bahasaya, of course. Refers to the readiness of the institution to be assessed by interested outside parties. In material in DE, we have its standard and also have substance. For the first standard is graduate competence standard, and the substance is three components of competence: attitudes, knowledge, and skills. And number 2 is learning content standard. The substance is refers to the scope of breadth of the learning fields and the level of complexity. Number 3 is learning process standard. The substance is refers to an approach that is tailored to students' developmental tasks and encourages higher order thinking skills. And the 4 is learning assessment standard. The substance is refer to measuring content, thought processes, and encouraging character growth. And number 5, teacher standards and techniques. The substance is minimum qualifications of teachers and techniques to support the quality of learning and achievement of learning outcomes. And number 6, facilities and infrastructure standards. The substance are the minimum requirements for what kinds of facilities and infrastructure are needed to support the learning process optimally. And 7 is financing standard. Investment costs, operating costs, and personal costs. This is a substance from financing standard. And the last is management standard. The substance is planning, implementation, and supervision in order to achieve efficiency and effectiveness in the implementation of education.
Now we are going to talk about education management for schools in the 3P area. According to the 8 standards used as a reference for school accreditation, known as the Minimum Education Service Standard or SPMP, was developed by the Ministry of Education and Culture. This is as response to the complexities of education management in Indonesia. The definition of 3T is schools located in the frontier, remote area, and disadvantaged area. Minimum requirements in the form of guaranteed equality and access for students in a remote area originally appeared in 2012 and updated in 2018. Basic service quality includes standard of quantity and quality of goods and or services. The standard of quantity and quality of educators and education personnel and procedures for meeting standards. In your opinion, is the MCC policy a good thing and the right thing to do? You can answer by yourself, but in my opinion, yes, I do. Because the education sector is important. The government provides mandatory effort and assistance for services that are in accordance with minimum service standards. Education financing is organized by the regional government, is borne by the regional government, and 4 regions that have implemented 12 years of compulsory education. For those who have not implemented the 12 years compulsory education, the financing of secondary education for educational units organized by the regional government is borne by the students or their parents or guardians. The amount of the value of education financing charged to students for secondary education for educational units organized by the regional government is determined by the governor by the course standards applicable in the local area. Next, we move to Achievement of Education MSS Fulfillment Local. The governments are required to implement the Education MSS. Implementation of fulfillment of the Education MSS stipulated in the regional government planning and budgeting documents as a regional expenditure priority following the provinces of the legislation. Reporting on the implementation of SPM fulfillment education, the provincial government is obligated to submit a report on the implementation of the education SPM to the Minister of Home Affairs with a copy to the Minister of Education and Culture. Likewise, district or city governments are required to submit a report on the implementation of the education MSS to the Minister of Home Affairs through the governor as a representative of the central government with a copy to the Minister of Education and Culture. Let's move to another part. Based on the article about the minimum service standards for education, there are 6 basic principles of MSS. They are: first, Suitability Authority applied in accordance with the authority of the provincial and district or city areas according to the mandatory government affairs relating to basic services. Second, availability, stipulated and implemented in order to guarantee the availability of goods and services of basic needs that every citizen has the right to obtain at a minimum. Third, affordability, stipulated and implemented in order to guarantee the goods and or services of basic needs obtained by every citizen. Fourth, sustainability, stipulated and implemented to guarantee the continuous availability of goods and or services for the basic needs of citizens. Fifth, measurability, defined and implemented with goods and or services that address the basic needs of citizens. Six, right on target, stipulated and implemented to fulfill goods and or services for basic needs that every citizen is entitled to obtain at a minimum, and fulfillment by local governments is aimed at priority citizens for families or the poor. So what is the scope of MSS? First, district or city area, divided into 3 parts. The first is early childhood education, start from 5 until 6 years old, and then basic education, divided into 2 parts. There are elementary school and junior high school, start from 7 until 15 years old. The last is equality education, start from 7 until 18 years old. Province area secondary education start from 16 until 18 years old. And then special education start from 4 until 18 years old. So we would like to talk about a perspective in interpreting education management. Bowman and Deal 2017 defines an institution as an entity dynamic, which can be reached through at least 4 metaphors. School is an institution that is managed or led, especially because there are so many parties that play a role there. Ambiguity and complexity schools occurs because of the diversity of perspectives, assumptions, beliefs, certain agendas, and often inconsistent relationships settles among the people in it. Understanding of this complex and ambiguous reality leads us to the concept of frame as a mental model or frame of mind. That kind of mental model have many labels, such as maps, mindsets, schemas, paradigms, heuristics, and cognitive lessons, to name a few. There are 3 dimensions, namely, first, information processing capacity. The truth is, on the one hand, there is not much available time. Second, however, the information that comes is a lot. Third, human memory is also limited. The last is human short-term memory is only capable of capturing a maximum of 7 bytes of information. And then saving our brain. First, the limitation of this kind of human brain force us to take advantage of shortcuts. Second, the shortcut is a rule, a frame of mind, or you can call it a frame. Third, for what? So that complexity and ambiguity or less uncertainty. Fourth, we group information into chunks small to be easy to understand or digest. Cognitive basis. First, the effect of the first and second stages are basis cognitive, checking the information to confirm our basic beliefs. Third, our expectation. Fourth, on the one hand, we often swallow information raw, which is fun. 5. On the other hand, we tend to reject and don't pay attention to other information what does not match their hope. One way to avoid the trap of bias cognitive is a willingness to learn continuously, unyielding the attitude in seeking various experiences with opportunity to grow and develop. Yeah, that's all from our group presentation. Thank you so much for your kind attention and have a nice day.